Hi again. Drawing an imaginary city in one-point perspective is kind of a fun way to practice the idea of recession from a picture plane and figuring out which lines need vanishing points and which ones stay horizontal and vertical in an imaginary one-point situation. Because this is imaginary, we're starting out with an eye-level line because we're going to imagine this whole space. If I were drawing from life, I just have to say, this is probably not the way I would start, and I'll be showing you that in another little video in a few minutes. But I think when you're drawing from your imagination, probably it's a good idea to just start with an eye level. And this is my composition. Typically in one-point perspective, the eye level is centered, not always in the composition, but the what I should say is the vanishing point tells the viewer where the artist was standing. The vanishing point is on the artist's eye level, and it's right in between the artist's two eyes. So if you put it more or less in the center of your composition, you're good. I'd like your eye level in the assignment that you're doing for me, I'd like your eye level not to be way up at the top of the page, but kind of centered top to bottom so that you get to draw things above eye level as well as below eye level. And I think a good way to start the imaginary city is to just make a bunch of imaginary lines kind of radiating out of the vanishing point. A lot of these will erase later on, but some of them may give us ideas for things we'd like to draw, right? So I'm going to start by drawing a building. All my objects are going to be rectangular solids, and I'm going to pretend that this is going to be one edge of that building. So I'm going to draw a rectangle with lines as horizontal and vertical as I can make them. You are welcome to use a ruler for this. I'm going to draw that, and I'm going to say this line that I just drew at random, I'm going to decide is the top edge of that building, the edge that goes back away from the picture plane, that recedes to the vanishing point. And arbitrarily, since this is imaginary, I can make this up. I'm going to make this building this deep, right? So this is one side of the building. I can put some windows on this side of the building. These windows are above eye level, of course, right? You can see that because you can see my imaginary eye level line marching along there. This edge I'm going to reinforce here because it is now a real edge. I don't have to worry about drawing to eye level because it's on that line that already goes to eye level. So, convenient. I'm going to draw this edge of the building. I'm going to put a door on this side of the building. I'm going to say, whoa, let's try that again. I'm going to say that the door is this wide as a big door. How do I know how to make the top of that door? Well, I have to commit myself to one of these points, either this one or this one. One of them is probably going to be wrong. And I'm going to draw a line through, I'm going to say this one. I'm going to draw a line through that to eye level. Whoops, I'm missing it. Something like that. And that means this one's a little too big. This is an imaginary line. Of course, I'm going to lighten it up a little bit because it goes back to eye level. I had to use that vanishing point for the top of the door because in our world, tops of doors are typically parallel to bottoms of doors and parallel lines. If they recede, the picture plane appear to converge at a vanishing point on the eye level line. So we know that the bottom of the building is parallel to the top. If there are windows on this side of the building, let's make some lines that show maybe where some windows could have their top and bottom edges, right? I'm going to make these windows get a little bit bigger as they come closer to me. Their top and bottom edges are going to recede again to that vanishing point, right? Now, it's obviously possible that there could be a row of windows. In fact, let's make them right here, that exactly have their tops and bottoms on the eye level line, right? So that their tops and bottoms would, by coincidence, just their tops, not their bottoms. Their tops or their bottoms, I should say, by coincidence could be right on the eye level line, correct? So what this situation is telling the viewer is that I, the artist, am approximately at the height of those second-story windows. So I may be in a building across town, across the street, on another block, or in a helicopter, or in a cherry picker, or something that gives me some height, because I am right at the height of those buildings. And we can tell that even if I erase all my vanishing points and my eye levels and all these extra lines here, we can tell because the fact that those are completely horizontal, even though they're parallel to the things that recede, means that they happen to be at eye level. Okay. Let's put another building in. Let's put one behind this one. In fact, let's put it right next to it. Let's make part of this building touch that building. It's going to go up like this. It's going to go back like, about like so. Let's make it bigger than that building. And it's going to go down the bottom of that building is here, so we'll come down like that. It's going to go down to there. Okay, this is the part that I get for free. This is the part that is made of horizontal and vertical lines. It corresponds to this side of this building, right? This is the near side of this further building. And I can make this one go down to, it probably wants to go to the same sidewalk as the first building. So it'll go down to here, right? And now I've got two buildings, and obviously I could put a door and windows on these buildings as well. I could make a little penthouse on top of this building that has its face that's parallel to the street there, and has its face that's parallel to these two buildings there. I designed it to be just a little kind of random cube sitting on top, or rectangular solid sitting on top of the thing. I decided how far those angles would reach and how tall and how wide it would be. Just a design decision. Let's make a sidewalk that goes in front of these. Let's give them an edge. Oh, that's a very steep sidewalk. Trying to make my lines a little bit straighter. Right? This is going to be the top of the sidewalk, the part that has the lines where if you step on a crack, you break your mother's back. We are going all the way back to infinity with this sidewalk if we're not careful. And of course, those little lines are going to get too tiny for me to draw this big fat Sharpie or Expo. I really want to draw them though, because I want you to see that they have to be perfectly horizontal. And if they were to continue around the corner, right, down to the gutter here on the curve, they would bend and be perfectly vertical, right? That's a pretty steep curve. I don't think most people's curves would be that tall. Let's make, I don't think we need that one. Let's say that this line, this is the dotted line down the middle of the road. We'll put another sidewalk over here. I'm going to make an extra line for it. We'll also, I'm not making it very straight. Here we go. We'll also give it some horizontals just to remind you that these have to be horizontal and that they have to get smaller as they go back. And again, we can make something go up above and below eye level. If we decide we don't want to use either one of those lines, we can make our own new lines that go to the vanishing point, right? We can put a door here. We've already got a top that goes to the vanishing point. We obviously have to give it a side unless there's another building in front of it. This is horizontal. This is vertical. We get those for free. We build a fence around this yard here by deciding where we want the footprint of it to be. And then, unfortunately, it's going to go off the paper here. We could decide that we want the fence to be this tall and draw this edge of it. Here's my little picket fence. Now these obviously do not need a vanishing point because they are parallel to our picture plane. But this side of the fence, if I want to draw the fence going and connecting with that building, it needs a vanishing point because these little pickets are going to get smaller and smaller and smaller as they go back to approach that building. Make sense? You could put trucks going down the street. Let's give this a curve as well so it doesn't look so silly. And you can put windows, you can put billboards, you can put whatever you want, but this is the basic principle of how to draw an imaginary city in one-point perspective. You're going to decide with each building or rectangular solid that you erect where it faces the picture plane and how tall and how wide it is. You have this rectangle that you get for free, and then you're going to decide where, as it goes back to the vanishing point, what goes on that side of the building. You could put a billboard on this one, say, for example, that says, I don't know, books. This is a bookstore. It's going to say books. And those letters are going to get a little bit smaller as they go back because they're receding to a vanishing point. Make sense? I hope that helps.